MMA Weekly here with Brendan Schaub. Brendan, how you doing today?
Great, man.
Getting ready for that next big step in the UFC, man.
Yeah, it's for me, it can't come fast enough, man. Fighting here in Denver, in my hometown, and against a tough guy in Chase Gormley, comes from a great camp, so should be good. Should be good, man. I consider it my first UFC fight, so it's time to get on that track and make a run in the heavyweight division.
Now, both you guys are coming off of a loss. Both you guys, first loss of your career.
Mm-hmm.
How does that affect you coming in? I mean, you made it all the way to the finale on The Ultimate Fighter and then lost to, Roy Nelson,
yeah.
which is nothing to be ashamed of, really. Roy's
a
pretty good fighter,
yeah,
but
sure.
What does that do for your mentality, or how did it affect you to have that first loss?
For me, it was tough to deal with. I'd be lying. I think everyone would know if I was like, oh, not a big deal, man. I just got back to training. I mean, it's a tough pill to swallow. So, man, it's a good thing I have a good tight-knit, team here and good coaches and family and friends and my girlfriend. And, it took about a month for me to get back in here, to be honest with you guys. And, I went up to Montreal, and George said it best, man. He said, hey, exact same thing happened to me when I fought Matt Serra. You come back 10 times the fighter. So that was my mentality, and I just worked hard, and I've never trained like this before for a fight. Coming off a loss, it just makes you that much.
How is that to have the support system that you have, guys like GSP and Rashad and Nate, who've been at that top level and have been knocked off to that top level and had to come back?
It's just, it means the world, man. Seeing those guys every day and training with those guys, and then you hear the way they cope with losses, and they've been in my shoes. They know what I'm going through, and you see the success they've had, after a big loss. So, without those guys, I definitely wouldn't be where I'm at, and, my mindset wouldn't be where it's at either right now.
That said, you said you've spent a little time training. You've gone down to Albuquerque a little bit at Jackson's down there, and I think you said you're headed back there just before the fight. And then you've spent some time with George up in Montreal. But talk a little bit about your training here in Denver and what goes on, because it seems like a lot of guys here at Grudge really like what's going on here.
Yeah, we got a great system here at Grudge. With our coaches Trevor Whitman, Leister Bolin doing wrestling. You got Greg Jackson coming up, every other week. You got Amal Easton doing our jiu-jitsu and Christian Allen. So the team we've created here, it's a powerhouse. So, I really don't have to leave, Denver. I get everything here, training with Shane Carwin, Nate Marquardt, Rashad Evans is here. You got guys like Paul Winatello here now.
Elliot Marshall.
Yeah, Elliot Marshall.
Who you kind of grew up with.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically.
It's crazy, man. The team here, you're starting to get a hotbed here in Denver. So it's cool to see, and I think you're going to see, what kind of team we have come March 21st. We got 3 guys fighting the card, and then the next week we got Shane Carwin and GSP fighting. So big things out of Grudge.
Now, talk a little bit about Chase and what you know about his style and what you expect out of him in the fight.
Chase, he trains with a good team, Team Blackhouse. He's getting the same world-class caliber guys I'm getting here. So I expect a tough fight. He's a wrestler, so he has that wrestler's mentality. He also he can box a little too. He comes from a boxing pedigree. So it's the UFC, man. There's no easy fights, and I train like I'll fight for a title fight every camp. So for me, when Joe Silva called me the matchup, I don't care who he said. I really don't. It's more about what I do, and it's my mindset and the way I train. I could care less who's in there. So I'm just gonna do my best, and it's taken me this far, and I expect to pull me out in this fight too.
And what are we gonna see out of good old Brendan Schaub at March 21st?
You know what? Come March 21st, man.
You got some new tricks up your sleeve after that loss. You come back and retool a little bit.
You know it. I think I'm one of the most athletic heavyweights in the UFC, so I think you're going to see some cool stuff, some different stuff, switching up a little bit. At the same time, too, if you get a bonus on that Versus card, you're doing something right, so that's what I'm shooting for.
Shooting for the which bonus are you shooting
knockout
for?
Or submission, man.